My boy said in the chat, Nets and 4. I told him Nets and 4 my ass. That's what it is. My boy said in the chat, Nets and 4. I told him Nets and 4 my ass.
And let's talk about the Lakers, who just ended a 7-game road trip last night with a win over the Hornets. Kyle Kuzma leading the way with 24 points. Dennis Schroder added 19. LA has gone 4-3 on this trip without Anthony Davis or LeBron in the lineup. So, Matt, what have you learned about this team in this stretch without their stars?
They stayed above water, and that's what you want. Obviously, missing 2 stars, the best duo in the game. But I really like is this is going to help come playoff time. These guys are all going to be in rhythm. It's not going to take Braun long to get back in rhythm. We'll see how long it takes AD to get back in rhythm. But they're going to need that third guy, and whether it's Kuzma, whether it's Schroder, it can be Harrell sometimes. To me, their most important aspect is being healthy, and no matter how, like I said earlier, no matter how far they slide down, if they're healthy, they're still going to be the favorites in the West.
Now, I'm going to speak directly to Laker fans, right? I'm going to speak directly to...
It normally doesn't go...
You're in LA.
I know. Be careful. No, I understand.
I got death threats for doing that.
People with head tattoos, with stuff like that. Look, I'm going to speak directly to Laker fans. You will not see the impact of Drummond until LeBron and AD are back.
Yes,
Don't be like, oh,
there was some panicking last night. There was some panic.
Oh, what's Drummond? And I'm like, guys,
scored a couple points.
LeBron James is one of the greatest passers this game has ever seen. Drummond needs that.
Yep.
Anthony Davis is one of the most skilled big men that's going to allow for less than 3 people to be trying to box out Drummond. If you thought that Dwight Howard was a key part to your championship, Drummond is better.
Yes.
Drummond is like a younger, I don't want to say a young Dwight because Dwight was a monster, but he's like a younger Dwight Howard.
Yeah.
So
he was the best pickup to me come deadline time, the buyout situation.
But you're not going to see that now until you've got LeBron out there on the floor, until you got Anthony Davis. So before you start getting all crazy about like Drummond's numbers, understand it'll skyrocket.
And I give him credit, by the way, because it would be easy to sort of fall into it. Well, where do I fit on this team? Okay, now what's going on? And he last night was very much like, yeah, I'm here for the defense, and the offense will come, and all of that. And it seemed kind of to have an even feel about it.
Yeah.
And Dennis Schroder, by the way, playing as well as he had, matters for them. And there was a little bit of a question after the trade deadline. It was his name that was in those talks in the swap for Kyle Lowry. The sticking point might have been Talen Horton-Tucker, but Schroder's contract is also going to be up this summer. So that was seen as kind of an exchange for expiring versus expiring. He could have taken it personally, and instead, look at what he has been doing. I covered their game over the weekend in Brooklyn, and when he got tossed out with Kyrie, look, of course, you would say the winner is the Lakers if you're losing Schroder and Kyrie.
At that time in the game.
But at that time in the game, he was the leading scorer.
I had a chance to talk, Chris Paul's good friends, and our kids are good friends, and we talked this offseason about how much he loves Dennis Schroder, one of the most competitive guys on both ends of the floor, always working hard. He said he just loved playing with him, and you're seeing that over in LA. This kid works hard. You can say what you want about him. You can say what you want about the hair dye and looking like Gizmo sometimes, but this dude goes out and plays his butt off every single night, and you're going to need that going in the playoffs.
Dennis the Menace, this is Thursday night. Let's talk about what was going on here in LA, because it was the first time fans were allowed back in Staples Center since the NBA shut down in March of 2020. It was just under 2,000 fans, but they were loud. They were in the stands to watch their Lakers on the Celtics. LA also got some good news before the game. Anthony Davis officially cleared to full contact practice, Lakers coach Frank Vogel said. Vogel also said AD's return to game action is imminent. Maybe as soon as Monday, maybe a couple days after that. Now, he did say he'd be playing in shorter bursts, like 15 minutes, Ramona. But what does that pending return mean for this Lakers squad?
Well, listen, they got 2 games coming up against the Jazz. And then, Rachel, they have 2 very important games in Dallas.
Yes.
And when we're talking about can the Lakers avoid this play-in tournament, okay? Next week, again, in Dallas, they're staying over, okay? We'll have that on TNT and ABC. You'll be there, okay? If AD can come back for either one of those games and help the Lakers win one of them, that means so much when they're trying to stay out of that 7 spot. But if they lose both those games, Dallas can really leapfrog them in the standings.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be tough. But I'll go back to what Greg Popovich said 15 years ago. I've been the 1 seed and I've been banged up, and I've been the 7 seed and I've been healthy and made it to the finals. Like, you want your guys to be very, very healthy. And obviously the Lakers don't want to be in a play-in situation. You don't want that. Teams are too good. Luka can get hot. Steph can get hot, and there's not a human on possible that can do anything about it. Right. But ultimately, as long as they're out of there, their focus is really health. I think they're still pretty confident about that.
I get it, and I know it's particularly fashionable right now to say seeding doesn't matter. We're hearing that in the East too, that kind of thing. But your road to the finals, it does matter who you play.
Oh, yeah.
And there are teams at the top of the Western Conference bracket right now that I think even the Lakers.
It matters more in the East. It matters more in the East, I think, than it does. If you're talking about being fearful of somebody, if you're the Nets and you have to go through Embiid and you have to go through Giannis, so that means you're going to have more grueling games. It's going to be more intense. It's going to be more physical, and your team has already dealt with injury issues. In the West, truly, I still believe this about the Lakers. They fear no one, right? You told them they had to go Utah Jazz first round, they had to go the Denver Nuggets second round, they had to go to Clippers. They'd be like, all right, cool, let's go. As long as we're healthy, we can take it out. I think it's different in the Eastern Conference.
The other thing, though, too, is you get a week off. If you avoid that play-in tournament, you got to play that week. Now, I know AD and LeBron might need some of those games to get back, but those are veterans.
LA Fitness is right down the street. If they need to just get their wind up, they could be fine. It is going to be fascinating. And by the way, talk about possible matchups. We could see LeBron versus his friend Chris Paul early in the playoffs, depending on how the seeding falls.
Poor Suns. Poor Suns.
It could go the other way. Richard Jefferson. Arizona native Richard Jefferson.
Yeah, I love the Phoenix Suns. All I'm saying, though, is Bron has been in the finals 8 of the last 9 years, and 9 of the last 10 years. Yes, 9 out of the last 10 years, and the 1 year he didn't make the postseason. So when I go back to, oh man, poor Suns, don't feel bad. I'm not talking about you.
I would say that it is a more open Western Conference than we have seen in a while. Our friend Shea Serrano from The Ringer always made that famous LeBron decision tree. I know that I introduced that to you, right? Are you in the conference LeBron plays in, yes or no? If the answer is no, you could make it to the finals. If the answer is yes, then the next decision tree is he on your team or not? If the answer is yes, you could make it to the finals, according to Shea. If the answer is no, sorry.
Not according to Shea, according to what the
proved to be the turning point of the game. The Lakers outscoring the Nets 60-39 after the ejections. LA got hot from 3, hitting 12 of 18. The Nets went cold, 0 for 14. So, Richard, look, you just said, oh, why? Well, there's a really good reason. We expected this game might be a blowout, but it was because LeBron and AD weren't playing. Kyrie and Kevin were, and it was supposed to be a blowout the other way. The Lakers instead won by 25. So do you think, do you put any stock in it?
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to give you guys a heads up. Like, Perk is going to put stock in this. I'm not going to put any stock in this because ultimately these are not the teams that we are expecting to be in the finals. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to be 100% when they get to the finals if these two teams are the ones there. But ultimately, you can't really judge anything off a team without LeBron James, without Anthony Davis. Kevin Durant has been back for 3 games. No James Harden and a Kyrie tossed out in a 1-game situation. Yes, this is not what the Nets wanted. But this is not who they are going to be, and it's not the Lakers are going to be.
Well, first of all, Richard, you don't need to be giving us any more heads up because that milk dud is enough head that you're giving us on TV here. All right, that's the first thing. Second of all, yes, Rachel, I am going to put stock in this, and I'm going to look at the Lakers, right? Look at Taylor Horton-Tucker, Kyle Kuzma being out right now, and he's stepping up his game, being able to sharpen his knife and sharpen his skills. Ben McLemore, new addition, being able to come in and light it up from the 3-point line. KCP hasn't been shooting the ball well. So, adding great depth that holds everyone accountable. Well, now KCP is going to have to elevate his game because he's going to have to be looking over his shoulder. Third, Andre Drummond. He abused them in the paint, 20 and 11. Where's DeAndre Jordan right now? I get it. Steve Nash is catering to LaMarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin, but the Brooklyn Nets are not going to win a championship without playing DeAndre Jordan. They have to play him. He is their center that's going to anchor their defense. He's the best live threat that they have going to the basket. So where's DeAndre Jordan right now? He damn sure shouldn't be getting DMPs. I tell you that much.
Richard, where are you on that?
Well, no, I agree with that. A lot of times, and I had this one of my last years in Cleveland, where it's like a coach goes to a veteran and said, look, we're going to play these guys. We're going to get them acclimated. We're going to get them more minutes. We're going to come back to you. And I still want to applaud DeAndre because you're right. They're not going to beat a Joel Embiid playing LaMarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin. That's just the truth. It's going to be difficult with a guy like Giannis. Some of these teams in the Eastern Conference, and even if they're fortunate to make it to the finals, which a lot of us are predicting, they have a potential to go against a team like, let's say, the Utah Jazz or like the Denver Nuggets that have a ton of
Philly
size.
this week with a healthy Joel Embiid, so we'll find out.
Or even the
more
Lakers,
about that.
or even the Lakers, which their dominance is really their size. When you're talking about Kuzma, Braun, you got AD, and you got Drummond. So that size is just so dominating. So, but you got to get these other guys acclimated as quickly as possible. So I'm okay with it, giving these guys a run to see if you can do it, but then dialing it back, saying like, hey guys, this is what we need.
So when they came back, when Lue came back to you, as he said, after getting those guys acclimated, were you able to jump in the same? Was it?
Yes, because my role was still more of just like, hey, we're going to do this and getting ready for Golden State, trying to play, 5 or 6 smalls. But It was more of like, hey, we're going through a coaching change. I want to give these young guys these opportunities, but we're going to come back to you. Stay ready, stay professional, stay in shape. And ultimately he did. They're going to come back to DeAndre Jordan, but understand part of these DMPs is because they need to get minutes for Blake Griffin, LaMarcus Aldridge to see what they can offer and what they have.
But
go ahead, Perk.
But Rachel, RJ, it's only 20 games or less left into the season. Chemistry comes to mind, and I get trying to acclimate these guys, but you got to give DeAndre Jordan some minutes so that he could get back accustomed to playing with everyone. Like, I get all that trying to see what Blake could bring to the table and what LaMarcus could bring, but it's only 20 games left, and the biggest concern to me with the Brooklyn Nets is the chemistry.
Well, look, Steve Nash said that he's had to have a couple difficult conversations with DeAndre Jordan, but that he has been a real pro, so that is to his credit.